Alrighty, so here's what you're going to need to know in order to trick others into thinking that you've played Bioshock 2. Really? I hear you type on the keyboard. There was a second one? Yeah, most folks seem to have forgotten that Bioshock 2 even happened. After the success of Bioshock 1, Irrational Games decided to throw their dice in again with a sequel. And much like a lot of other sequels, people either love them, hate them, or it just falls off the map and is never spoken of again. While Bioshock was a massive success, Bioshock 2, well, not so much. It's not bad in a very traditional sense, it's very fun. Bioshock did take a few steps to try to stand out as a sequel, but there are many other aspects that didn't quite live up to expectations. The game was seen more as Bioshock 1 Plus, rather than a solid sequel. And while the DLC does add a bit more flavor, it all begins to feel samey, like too much pizza samey. Like this is our 5th slice of pizza at the birthday party and everyone is judging us and I see you, Karen! But hey, there is a story here. Albeit over-contrived and redundant, it's a story nonetheless worth talking about. And plus I already slogged through this for y'all, so pipe down and listen.
We got a show for you.
So once again, we're taken down below to the forgotten city of Rapture, where the people are crazy, the food is subpar, and the glass is more fragile than my self-esteem. At the very start, we're treated to a pre-rendered cutscene where we meet our god complex turned cartoon villain Sophia Lamb, who we've never actually heard about and had to be horseshoed into the plot because we killed everyone who could have been a villain in the first game. She's a renowned psychiatrist who has somewhat of a cult following, who wants to create a utopia by turning the world into a hive mind using her daughter. She's also a big fan of Italian food.
The three of us.
Olive Garden, when you're here, you're family.
As for us, we'll be playing Delta, the very first Big Daddy. While protecting our little sister, we're caught off guard and end up mind-controlled. As if today can't get any worse, turns out our little sister has a mama, Lamb.
Oh my lord.
Well, this ain't good.
From where you're kneeling must seem like an 18-carat run of bad luck. Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
So a few years down the line, we wake up from our bullet-induced sleep paralysis and begin to feel what not moving for several years does to the bones. Actually, this is more than just a case of atrophy. Turns out, early versions of Big Daddies had a failsafe, where the Big Daddy would die or fall into a coma if they don't keep their little sister alive. Now, why would I be telling you this?
That's a surprise tool that can help us later.
Looks like our little sister is still alive and kicking, as she's the one who has brought back from beyond the grave, who was able to communicate to us via, I don't know, Adam or something. Remember y'all, this was the 1950s, things were different. So while drudging through the muck of Rapture, we're greeted by a familiar face. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Tenenbaum from Bioshock 1, who basically caused this whole mess. And I still don't forgive her. She's back down here because little girls have begun disappearing near oceans around the world, and figures that they must be getting taken to Rapture to be made into little sisters. Oh my god, this is gonna be so great, we get to work together again. Tenenbaum? Hello? Hello? Tenenbaum? But never fear, as we are given a sidekick named Sinclair, a smart man with a smart plan to sell off Rapture's technology to the surface, because look how well it turned out here.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Oh, also, while most residents won't give you too much of a hassle, there is one person you should watch out for. Introducing the Big Sister. Little sisters who have aged up and are going through their grunge punk phase.
Hey, sup? I'm Raven, your acid bath princess of the darkness.
They'll have a good chance of appearing whenever you rescue/kill all the little sisters in the area. And while Bioshock 2 did borrow that mechanic from 1, the new mechanic this time around is from the bosses you face on your way to Lamb. As you progress through the story, after each major boss, you're given the option to spare or kill them, which in turn alters the ending of the game. But despite all that, please know that this game has no canonic ending, so feel free to choose whatever you'd like. The first one on the chopping block is Grace Holloway. She was a professional singer until her jaw was broken by Delta a few years ago before the start of the game, and oh boy, it wasn't pretty. Grace's loyalty to Lamb stems from the fact that it was under her watch that Eleanor was kidnapped and turned into a little sister. Once we get through all of her defenses and grab the key that we need, it's up to the player to decide her fate. Once that's all said and done, it's over to Siren's Alley, where we got another one of Lamb's cronies waiting for us. Going by the name Father Simon Wales, but most locals prefer to call him Popeye. Lucky for you, this game makes it easy by making this choice mandatory, so go nuts.
Go crazy! Go stupid! Go crazy!
Onward and upward after defeating Crazy Grandpa, we meet a man named Stanley who is willing to give us a hand if we clean the area out of Little Sisters. And just when you think it's all well and done and we can finally move on...
Well, what you want to do is not necessarily what you're gonna do.
Not quite. So, Lamb, along with several recordings throughout the level, gives us a brief glimmer into the past. Originally, we were just a nameless diver who had the poor luck of stumbling upon an entire city. We ran into... How do we discover an entire city? Now, what does this all have to do with good old Stanley? Well, he's the one who decided we should pick diving back up permanently and had us made into Subject Delta.
It's what she deserves.
Now stop me if this is getting a bit repetitive, but we do have one more boss to tackle. The final obstacle at this point is named Gilbert Alexander, who treats you about as well as my last job.
I see you.
He originally was the first person Lamb tried all her Atom cocktails on, and turns out mixing uppers with downers ain't the best thing. So now he's this tube man slug creature. At this point, you already know the drill. Alive, dead, flip a coin at this point to spice it up a bit. With the last one gone, there shouldn't be anything left to stop us from rescuing Eleanor, or not, or we could just not. Sophia basically stopped Eleanor's pulse long enough to force Delta into a coma and severed the bond between Eleanor and Delta. We wake up tied up and it seems that all hope is lost. But luckily, despite having to see the white light for a few seconds, Eleanor sends in a little sister to get us out of here.
And let me see what you have!
No! Eleanor allows us to take control of a little sister and we run around the place putting together a big sister suit for her. After we suit up Eleanor, it's off to face Lamb. And when I mean face, I just mean running around like an idiot fighting the same enemies over and over again. And we hold on just long enough to escape with all the little sisters and Lamb.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye. Bye-bye.
Once on the surface, you and Eleanor look into the horizon and think about your future as father and Just kidding, this is Bioshock, remember? Due to your bond with your little sister breaking when you got put into a coma, you're gonna die regardless. And to add insult to injury, your daughter steals your high-C fruit punch you've been saving for later. As for the bad ending, well... we don't talk about the bad ending. How do everyone. If you like this video, make sure to share it and hit that sub button, along with all the other things YouTube's gonna make me tell ya. I've had Bioshock on the brain for a while now, and seeing how I made a video on 1, I decided to take a crack at the sequel, and boy howdy, it was a treat. If you want to see more of my awkward self, links down below for all of that. And if you want to see what me playing these games are like, then please check out my Twitch channel for a fun time. And with that said, I think that about wraps it up. I hope you all had a good time, and I will see you all later. Bye bye!